They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Hello, it's now 11:02. I'm Roy Michaels, and you are entering the Mystery Hour, the first, only, and number one late-night paranormal talk show right here on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. Joining me tonight in the basement of the University of Maine, we have Mary, Joseph, Connor, and Dan. If you are upset that my voice has interrupted the rock and roll, I don't blame you. The track is Surfin' Dead by the Psychobilly, Garage Rock Gods, and B-movie aficionados, The Cramps. Now, Surfin' Dead is the theme to the 1985 splatter flick Return of the Living Dead, in which a group of punk rock scenesters are devoured by a horde of brain-eating zombies. And that's exactly the sort of thing we'll be dealing with tonight, as we explore the world in which the dead walk among the living. We'll be having a conversation that was once exclusive to the clammy dwellings of horror nerds, but now, thanks to the success of AMC's The Walking Dead, it is now at the forefront of many imaginations and may take place at a more seemingly normal place, such as the office cooler. Anyway, that conversation is a conversation on the zombie apocalypse and the best ways to survive. Now, Joseph, let's say you awoke to the murmur of sirens in the distance. You check your phone and discover several scatterings of social media notifications and text ramblings that seem to describe the same seemingly unreal event. You think that it may be a prank until you turn on a nearby radio and hear the report. There has been an outbreak of some sort, and the infected have been attacking and consuming the flesh of their victims. What is the first thing you do?
First thing I do, probably, get away from any, high population density areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think after that, start to gather supplies, and the most important thing you need is purified water, obviously. So I think the first thing I do is try and find a way to get that.
Yeah, I would probably take a Barilla filter with me. I just reach into my fridge and kind of grab it and go down to the river and fill up.
Yeah, not a bad idea. You buy that the Life Straw.
The Life Straw? That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But listen, let me just say that if you haven't prepared already before the day of the outbreak, you've already failed. Is that do you agree with me on that point?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, I would like to mention, you said you have to get out of the population density. Well, I think that might be just a little bit tricky, because if you are in a highly metropolitan area such as Portland or Boston, maybe even Bangor, everybody's going to be trying to get out of town at once, right? The traffic's going to be jammed up. It's going to be horrible. And you're going to be stuck in your car until the, human can openers come shambling over and open up your car and tear you out. So what do you think about perhaps just laying low for a while? Is that a bad idea? Do you have to go to the woods initially, or could you just sort of lay low for a while, perhaps in your own home?
That might be a bad idea to lay low, just because there's gonna be looters, and it's gonna be easier to get to you. You're gonna be in a high, there's gonna be a lot more zombies around. And,
Absolutely.
The longer you wait, the more zombies there are.
So what do you think is most essential on the day of the outbreak?
Most essential on the day of the outbreak? Probably, if you're not prepared?
Yeah.
Getting prepared as quickly as possible.
And what would you do to get prepared as quickly as possible?
Well, Roy, do you know the survival rule of threes?
No.
They are, in any extreme situation, you cannot survive for more than 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food.
So you're telling me the first thing I should do is get shelter, food, and air?
Yeah, and water.
Oh, that's 4. Oh, food and water.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Were you finished?
Yeah, so you just gotta
Oh, okay.
get ready for those. air is obviously that's going to be.
And you can get that on tap, though. You can get a canister of air to sort of like huff off if you have to crawl down to a cave of some sort.
I don't. Why would you be in a cave?
Well, I mean, listen, it's the zombie apocalypse. I mean, there's going to be zombies everywhere, like in the streets, in the houses. You might have to get away, and, sometimes you might have to crawl into a cave. Maybe a drainage pipe that goes under a road, maybe underneath a bridge. You have to be prepared for it all.
Now, drainage pipe I can see, but cave might be a little dangerous because if you're not sure there's another way out, you're kind of just crawling into a corner there.
Well, why does Batman live in a cave?
Batman's not being attacked by zombies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Killer Croc. He's zombie-ish.
You could have went with Solomon Grundy, who was pretty much a zombie.
Born on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I had to make that quote just to flex my comic book muscles and not be completely destroyed by you. Connor.
I mean, in the pandemonium of a zombie apocalypse, make no mistake, you're going to be... you don't know where you're going to end up for that safety. That needed safety. Am I right, Joseph?
You are right.
So I once had a dream that I was being chased by police, and what I did was I sort of stripped down to my skivvies and slathered myself up in agave nectar, and whenever they got to me, I just slipped out of their grip. Do you think that's an effective method for dealing with zombies? Should I maybe ransack the Natural Living Center in Bangor for some agave nectar, or perhaps the organic aisle in nearby Hannaford?
That's a tough one. Dan, do you want to take this one?
It definitely would not hurt. It would not be a bad idea.
And I would like to make a distinction between agave nectar and syrup. Syrup's more sticky, and that could, be a sticky situation.
You don't want to get stuck to a zombie.
No, you want
That's for sure.
Well-
slip through their hands.
What if you were stuck to the back of a zombie, right? So it can't turn around to bite you. It can't turn its head around its shoulder to chomp on your neck. And so you got this zombie meat shield that smells like a zombie, it looks like a zombie, it sounds like a zombie, and you can just kind of walk around with it. And he's your wingman, he's your end guy. You can go out to the zombie, you can go to all of the zombie watering holes, maybe like bus that crashed. Yeah, Joseph?
The only thing I can think of right now why that would be a problem is the same reason you wouldn't go in the woods with like fake antlers on during hunting season. Someone might see it and just decide, I should shoot that zombie. And then on the other side of that zombie's head is your head.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Connor?
I'm skeptical that there's any kind of material that would last long enough to stick you to a zombie, too. I don't know, Joseph, are there any such materials?
I'm not an expert on zombies, or sticky materials.
Well, I believe Dan Man here, is a material expert, and he's here just for this question. So what do you think, Dan?
Very materialistic.
I'm sure there must be such material. I'm thinking hot glue would be best for this situation. You really want to stick yourself real tight.
A lot of it, too.
A lot.
Right.
You want at least 5 pounds of glue.
5 pounds.
At
5
least.
pounds of glue, okay.
Yeah.
And do you have to take into the body weight of a zombie into account?
That wouldn't hurt. Kind of gauge them. Maybe every 20 pounds, add another pound of glue.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Connor?
Well, thank you, Dan Man. And I think that just brings to light why you need to prepare, because you're not going to be able to get 5 pounds plus or minus of hot glue right when the outbreak happens.
Hard to come by.
Yeah.
You might be able to get it like afterwards because I'm not sure everyone's going after glue, or they weren't before. But
Well,
after
of
this
course,
show-
but you want to get stuck to that zombie ASAP.
I just want to say that if you're listening tonight, the best time to buy glue is around this time, the back-to-school sales. Get the Elmers, all the glue sticks. And, yeah, Mary, you had the point?
Yeah, I was just going to point out that, I think that the covering yourself with the zombie scent and that thing, I feel like at a time like this, like, we would have kind of an organized system, like kind of like hunters do, just to like rebuttal off of that. Like, I think we would have like some kind of system of just like, okay, like you would wear orange or something, like, yeah, okay, I'm a human, like, because zombies wouldn't be able to organize kind of that way. So like, I feel like that would be like the best way to go, is just to have that scent so that they would think that you're one of them. And I feel like that would work.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. I mean, we've seen it before in, some of the best of zombie fiction, but I would like to just sort of comment on what you brought up about the orange vests.
Yeah.
And I think that's an excellent idea until one guy ruins it for everyone by getting bit by a zombie. And you see him walking towards the crowd, and it's like, hey, it's Gary. Hey, Gary. And Gary walks over, he's heading towards the cooler. Everyone thinks he's going to grab himself a brewski, but instead he, bites a chunk out of Richard's shoulder. Now Richard's infected. He's also an orange. You don't know.
Maybe it would have to be like something thermo indicator, so that you would know that it'd be like human. I feel like we'd find a way. There'd be something we could
I
do.
want to say too, what if you have orange zombies? What if you have thermo zombies?
What you
Who
could
knows?
do is you could have a call sign, kind of like in the military, where someone, they say one word, and then you're supposed to retort with another word, that like a predetermined set of words.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Something like, "Are you human?" And then you say, "Yeah,"
Yeah, that would actually.
and that's how you determine it.
Simple conversation could actually work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really have to be as complicated as we all made it.
I mean,
out
we
to
didn't
be.
think of that though, and that's why you're the zombie expert.
All right, so far we've determined 3 essentials, and that's the extreme threes. Is that the proper term for it?
The rule of threes.
The rule of thrice.
Nope,
And then we have
Just me.
we have glue. And I don't know if we wanted to add this to our official list, because tonight we are hammering out the definitive strategy to survive a zombie apocalypse. But maybe predator vision to distinguish human from zombie.
Heat vision.
And then we have the call system, which is, are you human? And so I kind of want to add to that list, every time you watch a zombie movie, they have guns. They're shooting zombies left and right. What do you feel about, what do you think about guns in a zombie apocalypse situation? Mary?
Well, if they're attracted to noise, if that's like a thing, then I feel like guns aren't the way to go unless it's like an absolute worst case scenario. I feel like you have to find a different way to do that so it doesn't attract more zombies.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joseph.
Yeah, I'll just add on what Mary said. I think that's obviously, the right thing to do is kind of hold on to them for last resort. And I think really you should save guns for other humans that might be not good.
Yeah, and speaking of other humans, say you don't have a gun already. Most people think, well, gee, if the zombie apocalypse happened, I'm going to go raid, my local trading post. I'm going to get a bunch of rifles. I'm going to get all the bullets. I'm going to go out in the streets and survive. But, everybody's going to have that idea. Everybody's going to be going to the gun store, and there's one thing that seems to be a common trait among Second Amendment supporters, people who really love it, is that they don't really want to give up their guns. And I feel like the store is very well going to be fortified when you arrive, and these owners are going to be protecting their their livelihood, and they might fire upon you if you get too close, or they might have a fire sale, which could be pretty fantastic for everyone involved.
Zombie apocalypse might be the best time to buy guns.
Yeah, well,
You got that fire sale.
absolutely. So, if not guns, though, what about melee weapons? We see that a lot in The Walking Dead, and as Mary mentioned, that the guns might attract a horde with the sound and the... Yeah, Connor?
Oh, can we go around and we'll go around and we'll say our favorite melee weapon for a zombie apocalypse.
Can I be last?
You want to be last?
Yes.
Yes. All right, Dan, you want to start?
Yeah, let me think of a good one real quick.
And why?
And why?
Yeah.
Okay. Just judging by the stuff I have around the house, maybe I would just go for just some tools, regular household tools.
Kind of feels like a wrench.
You got wrenches, you got hammers.
All right.
I don't want
Why?
to go in. Just because, you got a bunch of them. You lose one, you just got 12 more, right? And they're kind of hefty, and they're easy to hold two at once, usually if it's like a wrench or something.
Dual wielding.
Yeah.
Okay, Joseph?
Definitely something like Dan said, something, a long, blunt type weapon. Because, like a lot of other weapons, like swords or axes, they require a lot more upkeep. Like
Right.
you have to sharpen swords, and you really have to learn how to use a sword. Get the edge alignment right when you're cutting, and you don't want to have to worry about all that on top of zombie apocalypse. You want to just be able to bash a zombie and get out of there.
Yeah, I imagine they're pretty heavy, right? So if you're getting swarmed, it's gonna be pretty hard to kill all those zombies with like a heavy axe.
Yeah, you don't want something that'll just zap your energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would go with aluminum baseball bat.
That's a
It's
pretty
sturdy,
good idea.
but it's light.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
See, when I was a kid, though, I had an aluminum baseball bat, and I would just smack it against stuff, and it would send like a shock up through my arms, and make
That's a
me
good
cry
point.
in front of all of the other boys in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I did
Oh,
my
you did
share
that
of
a lot.
crying as well with baseball bats.
Yeah.
Joseph.
What?
Sorry, I heard you start to talk, and I thought I interrupted you by
Oh no,
accident.
no.
My mistake.
I believe it's Mary. It's your pick.
I don't know. I think first instinct, I would go with sword because I feel like
It's
in,
awesome.
In fast combat, I feel like a sword would easily decapitate. But I don't know. I guess it would be like really bad idea just to think that there's only like one way. It'd be bad to just like think, okay, decapitation is the only way to go. But I don't know.
Yeah, I
'Cause
mean, we
the
don't-
upkeep would be like not great.
Yeah.
What kind of sword do you think? Like a broadsword or like a katana?
I don't know.
Those are the only two kinds of swords I know. So,
Scimitar,
That's a good
of
one.
course.
fencing sword.
Do you mean a rapier?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the upper body strength to have like a really heavy sword though, so I would be kind of like out of luck.
Me too.
Well, actually, a lot of swords aren't that heavy.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of two-handed swords that around 4 pounds,
Interesting.
That's
Maybe that would
fantastic.
be the way to go.
and the way they're weighted, you don't really feel all that when you're swinging them around.
A lot lighter than they look.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Big fan of swords.
Is decapitation the only way?
Well, I mean, that's if we adhere to a Romero theory of zombies, which is seen in the works of Kirkman and many of the staples of the zombie genre, and that's when the zombie is defeated by a blow to the head, decapitation. You just have to somehow mush the mushy zombie brain. That's how you stop them.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's it's 11:20. Which means it's time for our first break. I'm Roy Michaels, and you're listening to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM, WMEB, Orono, Maine. We'll be back shortly.
If you like bands like Mr. Bungle, Gogol Bordello, and the Dead Milkmen, then listen to Lookout Below, Wednesdays, 8 to 10 p.m. for anything loud, fun, and unusual. I'm Aaron, and I'll be your host every Wednesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. on WMEB 91.9 FM.
Everyone knows that ghouls are dangerous, but what most people don't know is that ghouls dislike violence just as much as us. They just don't speak the same language. Luckily, there's the Teleghoul, the all-in-one ghoul repelling device for the everyman. The Teleghoul is a complex, state-of-the-art piece of machinery, but luckily its usage can be broken down into 3 easy steps. Step 1. Press the button with the red circle on it to record your message. Make it something short and sweet, like, "Hey ghouls, please go away," or "Ghouls, stay away from my family." Step 2. Press the button with the squiggly lines on it to translate your message into something that ghouls can understand. All translated, here's a message in ghoul language. Step 3. Pull the trigger to broadcast your message to any ghouls around you. Now you can live ghoul-free, comfortable, safe. You can go to the baseball game with your son, Timmy, or maybe go to the drive-in theater with your gal, or even host a backyard barbecue for the whole family. The sky's the limit with Teleghoul. And get this, it's only $29.99. Just call 1-800-GHOUL. And remember, get rid of your ghouls with Teleghoul. The Teleghoul has not been vetted by the Paranormal Gadgets of America, nor is it officially supported by WMEB.
Hello and welcome back to the Mystery Hour. It's 11:24. I'm Roy Michaels, and you're listening to WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. Tonight on this show, we're exploring the realm of horror that is near and dear to our hearts, that is zombie fiction, and we are trying to hammer out the definitive strategy to survive the inevitable zombie apocalypse. You know, when I was coming here tonight, yeah, we were planning this show because out of necessity, we thought that we would have to have this strategy because all around Orono, there's hordes of people shambling around, and we thought, you know, this is it. We have to get to the airwaves. We have to help the community survive. But it turns out there's just welcome weekend here at the University of Maine. So if this is your first time listening to the show and this is your first year at UMaine, hello, I'm Roy Michaels, and this is the Mystery Hour, the first, only, and number one late-night paranormal talk show right here on 91.9 FM WMEB, Orono, Maine. So when we left off, we were just going around discussing our favorite, well, our go-to melee weapon if we had to, you know, use one to dispatch of the living dead. And it was my turn, and I would like to say that if I had to pick, it would just be this huge wooden club. But also, I don't think any melee weapon is a good idea in the zombie apocalypse, at least not at first. And that's because if you're familiar with Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later, the blood is what infects you, the saliva, the blood, the fluids. And if you're anything like me, like your hands are just covered in like hang nails, right? You got a lot of like openings, you're terrible at shaving, you got nicks all over your face. And if you took a baseball bat to the head of a zombie, that thing's gonna pop. Blood's just gonna go everywhere. And in 28 Days Later, one character suffers their demise because just a drop of blood touches their eye. And I think, you know, smashing a zombie would be a very, very dangerous thing because you're spraying that infected flesh everywhere. And I think it'd be better just hold off before you... Yeah, Joseph?
I don't mean to undermine you here or anything, but I believe that in 28 Days Later, they're not zombies, they're technically infected, which is why they can run and move at fast speeds. They're not technically the undead.
Well, why did the zombies run fast in the remake of Dawn of the Dead?
That's good.
Riddle me that, Joseph.
That's a good question.
Did you say it was welcome weekend?
I believe that's what's going on.
It wasn't a bunch of zombies shuffling about, because I ran in here at a full sprint, scared for my life.
Yeah, I know. You're still really sweaty.
Yeah, I'm sweating, I'm shaking.
Yeah.
I'm glad you told me, though, because I was not looking forward to leaving.
Everybody's coming back to campus. and that's what's going on.
That's good. Stick to school,
Wonderful,
kids.
wonderful concert at the Freshman Quad earlier.
Yes.
I thought it was actually, when I went there, I was following the music, I was following all the people, I smelled food, and I thought it was actually a, safe haven that had been established, like some sort of military checkpoint. But it turned out to be, just like a fantastic event put on here on campus with, some great bands, the rustic rustic overtones, the Cards, and the Wyatt. Oh no, someone please help me out.
I don't know.
There.
Let's continue our discussion, and I'll find out who hosted this wonderful event, who made it happen, and the bands involved.
All right.
I have a quick question for our zombie expert. Joseph.
I don't know how I became the zombie expert.
You're the zombie expert, and that's it. I don't have a sense of smell. I have virtually no sense of smell. Now tell me, what kind of disadvantage am I going to be at in a zombie apocalypse?
You're not going to be able to tell when you're in a sulfur deposit.
Oh, that's never good.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the first time I've fallen into a sulfur deposit, let me tell you.
Yeah. Listen, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous place to be. You don't want to be there. You might not be able to tell right off when you go into a place for the first time and it might be dark or you can't really see anything around you. You might not be able to, like, I don't want to be too graphic, but smell the decaying corpses.
Right. Is smell a big part of detecting a zombie at night?
It could be. I think hearing is more important, though.
Hearing, of course.
To hear them shuffle, and you can set up traps where they can, they stumble through it and it makes noise and kind of alert you.
Ah, okay. Well, I have 20/20 hearing.
Oh, really? How's your vision?
It's like 20/30.
What about your taste?
My taste in clothing and music.
No, just like taste buds.
I think they're fine. It seems like they haven't, I haven't lost any taste along with my smell.
I do think that's a myth that you lose taste when you plug your
I
nose.
think so too.
Yeah, you might be able to taste the disgusting air.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Can you eat a zombie?
No, you do not want to do that.
No, okay.
Really?
I don't think you
Wha-
should. I don't. You might be able to if you cook it. It might kill all the germs, but I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah. I wouldn't risk it. Don't risk it. Don't make that brisket.
Yeah.
Roy Michaels.
Just if you're taking notes, obviously write that down. Give Roy credit.
Words to live by.
Yeah. So I queried the official database of the Mystery Hour, and so the event that I tried to do a shout out for and miserably failed. It was put on by Humane Case and WMEB 91.9 FM. The station you are listening to, the station that this show, The Mystery Hour, is on, hosted by me, Roy Michaels, is 11:30, and the IMRC. And it featured the Wyatt Jenkins Band, Rustic Overtones, and the Cards.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
See how I snuck in that top of the hour?
Excellent job. Dan, you have something to say?
Yeah. Why were we not invited to this event? I mean, we are. I gotta say, probably the best, the highlight of People's Day. We really should be there.
Well, Dan, even though we are the highlight of People's Day, we are still losers.
Yeah, I don't know
Speak
if
for
you...
yourself.
I invited all of you. I was like, hey, there's this thing going on. Let's get away from the zombies. Let's go listen to some music.
I didn't mean that we were losers to everyone else. I meant to ourselves we were losers.
Well, that is very true.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to what would zombie apocalypse survival.
Yep.
We talked a lot about Z-Day, the day of the outbreak, and I want to know: do you feel like it's harder to live past the initial days of the outbreak than it is the sort of the end game, if you will?
I think the outbreak is the most dangerous part.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where the commotion is. That's where the looting happens.
Yeah.
That's when you're uneducated. Mary?
Yeah, I feel like other people are probably the most, like, that's where the most danger lies at first. Because at first I don't think there's, like, enough zombies to really, like, bombard you, but it's, like, competing with everybody else at once. Because, like, in normal life, it's, like, everything kind of, like, goes and flows, but once everything kind of outbreaks, like you kind of are more like it's harder for when it's like other people
Yeah, absolutely.
than other zombies, I guess.
And that reminds me, this is a little anecdote that ties right into that. When my mom, it was like a Christmas one year, and I was very young, and my mom was trying to buy me a Cabbage Patch doll, and she went to the store, right? And as soon as the doors opened, it just flooded with people, like parents trying to get the Cabbage Patch dolls for their children, and like one woman, got trampled, and my mom helped her up and, didn't get the Cabbage Patch doll for me. That's all right.
That's
cool.
such a Rabota move, though, to help the woman up rather than.
Yeah, she's such a
just
sweetheart.
So sweet.
It's not alright. Do you want to talk about it after the show?
Yeah. But anyway, if you think about what those people did to get to a Cabbage Patch doll, imagine what people would do during the zombie
Yeah.
apocalypse to get to, food, water, televisions,
Yeah.
Just
glue.
general
Like
safety.
people are the worst. I mean, zombies are bad, but like people at their worst are like the worst of the worst.
People are the worst. I agree.
And so back to, the day of the outbreak, you got to look out for people. Absolutely. The commotion. You don't want to get stuck in traffic because, as you remember, the human can openers will come over and tear you out of your 10 car. Yeah, Joseph?
I just wanted to add to that. You really don't want to get stuck at an airport.
Oh, yeah. I've been stuck at an airport for 12 hours, and I was just bombarded by advertisements the entire time, and I couldn't really eat because everything was like $20, and I felt like a zombie by the end of it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's most likely for zombie outbreaks to really start at airports because, they're just kind of a central hub for diseases traveling all around the world.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a really dangerous place to be, especially if there's a zombie outbreak.
That's interesting.
I mean-
Especially there's like a low incubation period.
Yeah,
If it happens fast, it's going to be at the airport.
absolutely.
I mean, if you think about, like, the spread of the Zika virus we've seen as of late, the airport's clearly the worst place to be.
Definitely.
Could you think of a more worse place? I think campus would be pretty bad.
I mean, cities in general, yeah.
Yeah.
Cities, airports, probably hospitals.
Somewhere without, service, like you're out, camping, and you go back into town, you're like, why are all these cars on fire?
Yeah, at that point, you should probably just go back out to camp.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up this point because in the old zombie movies, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, you usually hear news of the outbreak through the radio, right? It's like a radio report. And I was thinking about how the news would spread in modern day. And, obviously, like social media, you could check Twitter or Facebook and find out, which areas are safe, which areas have fallen to the infection, and, like where you can meet up with people, your friends and family. And it was just interesting to me because, like, we saw how, social media played a huge role in the Arab Spring. I'm wondering what sort of role it would play during the zombie apocalypse. I mean, like that, just always keep your phone charged, computer charged. Definitely, I think the outbreak would not be so bad because of how connected we are with our communication.
But how long would the internet stay up after a zombie outbreak?
See, that's a
Yeah.
good point. It depends on how bad it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how much maintenance it requires. For the,
Yeah. If it's like a burst, then like everything's gonna shut down. Like all systems are pretty much gonna fail because there's a lot of people that go into that.
I have another quick question for our zombie expert.
Stop calling me that.
I'm sorry to keep bombarding you with questions.
Our zombie expert, Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph. And Dan, you can answer this too. Now, I am quite grotesque.
Oh, yeah.
Can you confirm?
Yeah.
Dan,
Oh,
can
yes.
you confirm?
Big time.
How can I, just to explain, I fell into a sulfur pit
Yeah,
as a
you
kid.
deposit.
Deposit, thank you.
Okay, maybe
How
I
can
don't
I
know.
differentiate myself from zombies?
I would wear blush.
Or blush?
Well,
Well, I'm
makeup.
way ahead of you.
Maybe you should wear even more makeup.
Even more not possible. I look like I'm very hideous, so I kind of put makeup on like a clown.
You truly have a face for radio.
I do, indeed.
Actually, I do think you should take it one step further. I know the makeup makes it look like a clown, I really think you should wear the rainbow wig. That will help you really pop. You know, people will look at you and go, "That's Connor."
What if a horde of zombie clowns is out and about?
Well, that would be
That's good.
terrifying.
You blend in.
That would be terrifying.
But yeah, you would blend in. And I would like to say that if I was out, scavenging for goods, and I saw someone dressed as a clown, then nope. I would just not, I would not get in your way at all. If anything, I wouldn't even actually, I wouldn't even talk to you. I wouldn't even acknowledge you. I would just be so afraid. There's no reason that a man in a clown suit should exist during the zombie apocalypse.
that pretty much
That's-
describes my daily life
That's a,
pretty well.
it's a great strategy.
But I think maybe I'll have an advantage then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be advantageous to dress in an intimidating way.
I mean, I'm very spacey and I often stand slack-jawed, and I think that might be, advantageous to me. Like, if I'm sort of thinking about where to go next, and there's some zombies in the tree line, kind of peeking through the bushes, trying to see the meat, and they just see me kind of spacing off, a mouth breathing. They'll leave me alone. Mary?
It just made me think like this, like if there was like some kind of suit or something, like with the talk of like a drop of blood to the eye could like infect you. Like it kind of made me think, oh, with like preparing yourself, like maybe goggles would be a good idea, but like also like maybe there would be time to like find some kind of suit or something that couldn't penetrate through like the infection like to get to you or something.
Like a hazmat suit.
Yeah, like something like that. Like I feel like that might be something.
Well, I mean, I've always wondered why not just wear a suit of armor like a night costume.
You don't want to do that, Roy.
How come?
Well, first of all, suits of armor, they're around, maybe 100 pounds, maybe more. And
What are you trying to say?
and I'm not saying that you're weak, but I'm saying, let's say a couple zombies get on you, and they knock you over. Now you've got zombies on you, and you've got an extra 100 pounds. You got to try to push them off. You're gonna get crushed to death, or if a big horde comes at you. You're
So
gonna get
it's like a pig pile, and I'm
Like
just
a pig
trapped at the bottom, dressed up in Dungeons and Dragons cosplay, and I'm slowly suffocating. Is that because I'm agile,
Yeah, but you're agile, but I feel like that armor takes the agility away from you.
So if this, to reference Dungeons and Dragons again, do you think equipping this armor would, minus some stats from my agi?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, it is 11:40, which means we're going to go to our second break. You're listening to the Mystery Hour on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. I'm Roy Michaels, and we'll be back shortly.
Kids presents multiple choice parenting.
You accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org/ME. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hello and welcome back to the Mystery Hour, the first, only, and number one late night paranormal talk show right here on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. 11:42. And I'm Roy Michaels. Tonight we are trying to hammer out the definitive strategy for tackling the inevitable zombie apocalypse. And to do so, we used our Facebook page. We called upon our followers. We challenged them to share what they think would be the best strategy with us, and we'll share it on the show. And let me just read the first comment. This one is from Mary Hamilton. Okay. We're good. Okay. I'm in my apartment, and the zombie apocalypse hits. First, I instinctively bait the zombie to my room with loud music. With my overhead fan going full speed, I coerce them to reach my room in order to decapitate them with an adrenaline source lift up into my overhead fan. Okay, so the adrenaline rush, you use the adrenaline to lift the zombie into the fan. Oh my god. Mary Hamilton. Then I would proceed to cover myself in the remains of zombie motionless bodies to deter the other walkers from my human scent and make my way to the nearest grocery store to scope out whether or not it has been ransacked. And that would be my first step. From there, I would have to adjust to the situation. I think that in any situation, you have to be quick on your feet and use your surroundings to your advantage and never let your guard down. That's some very good advice from Mary Hamilton. Very visceral response. Yeah, Joseph, what do you think?
More like Scary Hamilton.
Yeah, more like Scary Hamilton. Your thoughts, Mary?
Well, I think like that would be like my instinct.
Wait, are you the Mary from the Facebook post?
I am one and the same.
I would like to just apologize for that little banter we had. Please continue.
No worries. I feel like in any situation, you just have to use your surroundings to the best of your advantage. And sometimes it's all about like who you know. Like I was thinking like when we were talking about camping and how that would probably be a bad idea. But I feel like in that situation, like the first person I would seek out is the person who's like, I know someone who's a certified Maine guide. I feel like I'd go to that person first.
Yeah, you got to use your resources,
yeah.
your
yeah.
human resources. It sounds weird and a little bit distasteful when we talk about zombie apocalypse, but
like if they know how to survive off the land, they probably know how to like get clean water or make water clean. Like that's the person I want to go to who can live off the grid. Like that's where I'm going first.
Edible fruits and fauna.
Absolutely.
That's a must.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, Joseph?
I was just wondering if I could read the next post.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure.
All right. This one comes from Kyle Cody from Maryland. You know,
all the way in the cheese state.
That's not Maryland.
Pretty close.
Whatever. Now Kyle says he would bug out, have an area set aside somewhere deep in the woods that only you and your survival mates know of, and have a vehicle loaded with enough gasoline and supplies so when it kicks off, you can't get to your predetermined. You can get to your predetermined location with. Sorry.
I was just reading the Facebook page. I was just reading the comments. I'm just.
It's not a laughing matter.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not a laughing
this
matter.
is very serious.
Say it's not a laughing matter.
It's not a laughing matter.
Okay, Joseph.
Anyway, with enough gas and supplies, so when it kicks off, you can get to your predetermined location, which should be fortified and ready to go with food, shelter, and defense. And I asked him, what would you do for food and water afterwards? You know, after the pre-supplies runs out. He said he brought up an agrarian society, so you grow your own food. And as for water, you have to make sure your bug-out location was close enough to a stream or other water source so you could hike to it and get water, but not close enough where looters could spot your camp from.
Kyle is so smart. That's fantastic.
Well, there's a reason they call him Mr. Apocalypse.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a military man.
He is a military.
So he would know.
The military man.
Yeah, his bug-out vehicle is probably like a jet.
maybe.
I'd go with probably.
I'd go with probably for most things right here on the Mystery Hour, the first, only, and number one late night paranormal talk show, right here on 91.9 FM WMP Word Maine. I do like you know, Farman. That seems like a very obvious thing to do in the later days of the apocalypse. You know, sort of rebuilding civilization at its roots. But I think isn't it a little bit bad to stay in the same place throughout the duration of the apocalypse? Because those zombies, they're going to hear you, they're going to smell you, they're going to like migrate toward you and sort of pile up on the perimeter of your base. And then when something goes wrong, you have to leave. It's much more difficult.
I guess it depends on how well fortified you are and how well the escape routes for your place are. Because obviously you're not going to want to go into a place that you don't have escape plans for. You need A, B, C, and D, escape routes.
This is like just a question. I don't know. Can zombies like climb? Like, how well do you think they can climb?
So you
like,
could
I feel
use
like if
the
you
landscape.
if you get up to a mountain, like, how well could a zombie get to you there?
That's a good question. In the Zombie Survival Guide, written by the same man that wrote World War Z, he says that 1 in 5 zombies can climb a ladder, and I don't know how well that translates to hiking.
1
Yeah.
in 5 zombies? Is that like 1 in 5 zombies has a working pair of legs?
No, can climb a ladder.
Yeah.
So you need your,
Your hands.
But ladders are kind of predictable, like once you get in the rhythm of it. But I feel like climbing a mountain, you'd have to look around and kind of like look at your feeding and your hands. I feel like that'd be pretty difficult. I feel like if you get to a mountain, you'd be pretty good.
I think one zombie though could like shamble his way up to the top. It'd be like a slapstick comedy. You could play. I'm sorry. Yeah, that song, whatever it is.
I think
Yakety
humans
sax.
are pretty good climbers, but what stops most people is fear and being tired. So without that, I think they'd be going up a mountain pretty easily.
Here's an interesting idea. When we conquer the zombie apocalypse, and I don't want to get too caught up, I don't want to get too cocky saying we are going to conquer the zombie apocalypse. But if we do, we could keep a few zombies around, or, at least keep the virus alive. Maybe put it in like a vial in the cooler somewhere and breed zombies for a zombie Olympics. Now that seems like a lot of fun for the whole family.
It does sound fun, but it's always dangerous. There's always going to be one goofball that messes up and gets bit.
Yeah, let me just get back to the Facebook comments. This next one comes from Jennifer Ozog.
Yep.
And she says, you gotta give them a little kiss on the zombie lips, turn them into prints. I don't...
No. Maybe if it's only if
I think it's worth a shot. I would do it.
Yeah,
Her weapon is compassion.
That's true.
love conquers all.
A prince or prince?
Into prince, and it's capitalized, so I think...
The prince.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Prince deceased?
Yeah.
So maybe
kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Now, if you only turn into a zombie through bites, that's probably not a good idea unless they don't have teeth.
Yeah, I mean...
Definitely test it out with a toothless zombie first.
Yeah, I just don't think that's a good idea to be,
But blood and saliva, though, right?
Blood
It's not
and
just bite. It's not just the bite, right?
Yeah, well, it could be. You don't know that until the later days of the zombie apocalypse when you have, rules established.
Yeah.
I have another quick question. This is directed at Roy, who is our legal, very strong air quotes, expert, and Joseph,
What
our
am I?
survival expert / zombie expert.
All
Now,
right, let it rip, Connor.
We have a zombie plan, right?
Yeah.
We have to think about what happens after, too. Now, what legal plan can I have? Who can I sue?
That's a very good... in the zombie apocalypse, you'll definitely have plenty of, negligence claims. And I think you should get a lawyer beforehand to sit down with you as you form your zombie apocalypse plan. You know, your bug out bag. Make sure your lawyer is not a zombie, 100% human, but make sure that they know, you know, where you're going, who you're going with, and what supplies you're bringing in case, you know, there's a property claim later on in the tent. And give them your last will and testament, like, absolutely. I mean, just because you're a zombie doesn't mean you can still hold on to your belongings. Like, cough it up, you know? Gotta think of your son.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I just think it's important because there's going to be a lot of lawsuits afterward. The world's going to be a mess, and the legal system might get overloaded. So I just want to know exactly how to do it, and you've helped me a lot, so thank you again.
Well, that's a very good point, though. Capitalizing on the zombie apocalypse. I mean, there are some people that they go into the apocalypse and they might not be satisfied with their life, but then during the apocalypse they really thrive. Like, let's say the governor from The Walking Dead, he was a used car salesman, just like a normal guy, but then when the zombie apocalypse hit, his sociopathic tendencies really sort of grew, and he was able to fulfill his dream as becoming the king of the civilization. Joseph.
I just wanted to say to Connor, you know, just to be safe, don't shoot your mouth off about who you're gonna sue until you know that, like, law is established again.
That's very good advice.
During the apocalypse, when there's no rules, they might try to get you.
Yeah, it's a mess, right?
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to sue you when this is all over.
Yeah, because if you survive this, you don't want to have to go through the entire zombie apocalypse just to get sued.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joseph, I believe you have one from a certain Alex.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of good ones on mine.
Just let them all rip and make sure to list their name.
Okay, well, I'm gonna shoot them off real quick. Connor Spencer, run. Haley Collins, run fast. Kind of one up to you there, Connor.
Yeah.
Delaney Fitz, I'm prepared to die. And Alex Brunton, find a mall, build a wall.
Find a mall, build a wall.
Yeah,
Find
very
a
catchy.
mall, build a wall. Find a mall, build a wall. Find a mall, build a wall. Find a mall, build a wall. But what about, you know, in Dawn of the Dead, they did the exact same thing, and a bunch of bikers just blew right through the wall and got everyone killed. And yeah. Oh.
Yep.
Thinking of your toes.
Wow. All right. I rest my case. I think we have time for...
I'm
sorry?
I actually have one more from Clarice Martin.
Oh, okay.
Now, she said what she would do is she would find a boat that could be manned by one person, if possible, and more, if need be. And, you know, she would just kind of live on the ocean, and when she needed supplies, she would go to the, you know, to the shore, get supplies, and maybe help out someone along the way, and build kind of a community that way. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I would like to bring up yet another Romero film.
Yep.
And that is Land of the Dead. And what you see happening in Land of the Dead is that the zombies, they don't need to breathe. And they can just walk across the ocean floor to their destination. But, you know, as I'm saying that right now, I just realized that if you were in the ocean, there are underwater tides that would just sort of push them somewhere else. So, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And they couldn't swim to the surface.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the most dangerous part about that is a lot of high population areas are on coastlines. So when you do go get supplies, there's going to be a lot of potential danger there.
Absolutely. And what if you have pirates?
Exactly. Pirates are going to make a comeback someday.
And you don't want that.
No.
Unless you become a pirate yourself, in which case you do want that because, you know, you would be taking the supplies and you'd win.
That's a good point.
That's
the
a
way to go.
really
I
good
think that's the
point.
way to go.
You put yourself at risk of being sued when it's all over.
Connor, you're going to get got.
So let's run through our definitive zombie survival plan. And here's a question that I wanted to ask, but I never asked, so I'm just gonna throw it at you right now. How do do friends and family matter in the zombie apocalypse? Like, should I take them into account on the outbreak day?
maybe to a point.
That's a very aggressive no head shake, Mary.
Sorry, I feel like all rules kind of go out the window, and like that'll only weigh you down.
We've learned a lot about you tonight.
All right. So we have that.
I think you should have some sort of small group, but definitely avoid a large group.
Yes.
Now, I want to go back to the armor thing that you were talking about.
Yeah, but it's got to be real quick.
Chainmail, because it's light and you can't bite through it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we got, avoid dead weight. The rules of thrice. Hot glue. Hot pockets. Predator vision. Melee weapons, preferably a blunt melee weapon, after you learn the rules of the apocalypse, after you know that's a safe choice. Keep an eye on your social media, avoid airports, and have a bug out plan.
Sounds about
Think we
right.
could survive?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, it is now 11:58, which means this epoch of the Mystery Hour has come to a close. I'd like to thank Jimmy Ozok for composing several original tracks for use on the Mystery Hour. I'd like to thank the wonderful people behind the scenes at WMEB for making this show and many others possible and helping us to grow along the way. And of course, I'd like to thank you for staying up late with the radio. I'm going to be placing you in the care and supervision of Robo DJ for the rest of the evening. But first, I'm going to leave you with a song about the apocalypse by Johnny Cash. Remember, always get your pets spayed and neutered. Never ever throw away anything covered in your DNA. I'm Roy Michaels. You just listened to the Mystery Hour on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. It's midnight. See you next week.
And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder.